to Global Risk Community Chat. Today, our guest is Ahmad Javaid. I'm very happy to see you again, Ahmad. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And once again, for hosting me. Appreciate and pleasure to have having me here.
Likewise. So, before we get into our topic for our audience who may not have watched the other episode, could you briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. My name is Ahmad Javaid, and I'm by profession a senior cybersecurity strategist and working in GCC from almost a couple of decades, delivering projects within the domain of cybersecurity, data privacy, cyber resilience, GRC, and so forth. So I'm um, currently like leading a big team of cybersecurity professionals here in Qatar.
Yeah, sounds good. So, then let's get into the topic. So, what would you like to share with us today?
Yeah, I mean, I brought a very special topic and very relevant for the professionals who are pursuing their career in the space of information security, or in other words, cybersecurity. The ultimate goal for any security professional is to reach to the level of a CISO, which is a Chief Information Security Officer. So I would like to shed my light and experience on the evolution of this role and how does it look like in each and every different, the organizations belongs to different industry groups.
Yeah, sounds good. So, then let's get into it. So, what are some key things then when it comes to or like, what is the evolution of the CISO role on your insights, on your observation?
Right. So, see, primarily what we need to understand here, the information security function within any organization is it's a primary responsibility to protect the information assets and information infrastructure, or technology and infrastructure which is processing that information from any breaches or any unauthorized accesses. So any information security professional who is basically have that responsibility to protect the information assets have to work hand in hand with the IT people, such as the network administrators or system administrators, database administrators, and so forth. And from a technological point of view, I mean, there's several areas which basically, if the organization is using or utilizing for example, cloud technology or more advanced technologies in terms of uh, running their business operations. So anywhere where the corporate data is flowing, those channels needs to be protected, and confidentiality, integrity, and availability of that information needs to be ensured by the information security team. Now, being a part of the information security team, there's a different levels. Like if we try to understand the organizational structure of any information security function in any organization, that is primarily divided into three key focused areas. One area is called as information security governance and compliance, which is primarily responsible for um, de- you know, developing and driving the information security strategy along with the technology, IT, and business strategy of the organization. And the compliance function is the post part where basically need to ensure the policy compliance or any regulatory compliance that comes on the way. The second area is called as security architecture, which that team works hand in hand with the IT teams where the new solutions have been deployed or procured in terms of like, improving the technology stack within the organization, where they bring the information security aspect of the, 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 the technology to mitigate those risks which are been brought on board along with the new technologies. The third area, which is we call it as cyber threat management, which is the hands-on the combat against the mitigate against the risks and threats coming towards the organizations. That is, in other words, we can call it as a security operations as well, who are more hands-on people who actually monitor the technology infrastructure against the data breaches, malicious activities, malicious attacks, or any sort of unauthorized accesses in all around the organization. And that is basically through the help of advanced security tools, they monitor and everything. So all of these three primary functions, which is one, the first is information security governance and compliance, second thing is information security architecture, and third thing is cyber threat management. All of these three things have a specific responsibilities, and they are all the heads or the team leads in these three areas are reporting to the leader, who's generally referred as a CISO, who's a chief. So there's a big misconception about the CISO role all around in the business people and the non-technical people, that CISO has to have a very technical, strong background, and he needs to know that what is the hacking techniques, how we can prevent and all that. When that's exactly is the reason I wanted to highlight or remove the misconceptions. The first thing is the CISO or the chief definitely have to have a good knowledge about information security, but does not unnecessarily have to have a hands-on experience, because that's a people he has all the teams underlying to run those operations. So he has to have a visionary personality, which is really have should hold our strong interpersonal skills to work very closely hand in hand along with the CTO as well as the CRO. CTO is a chief in technology or chief information officer. And on the other side, the CRO is a chief risk officer, because information security have to identify and mitigate the risks within the technology infrastructure. So both of the stakeholders has to have been there. So CISO should hold a very strong personality traits, which is that includes the integrity, that includes the strong interpersonal skills, and the persuasive, the skills as well, in order to influence its agenda, or it's the thing which he can translate the very technical stuff down there which is happening into a very common understandable business English. Second thing is he should be a very strong leader, in terms of like he should understand his team's challenges and everything, and should be able to present those challenges to a non-technical leadership, such as board of directors, in order to get their budgets approved and everything. And the third thing is that he have to have a very good connections or relations with their suppliers, because the information security, there are several parts which we have to rely on our suppliers or the service providers. So that relation has to be maintained at the leadership level. On the other side, the personality, the interpersonal skills has to be strong, as along with the strong leadership skills. And of course, the information security function per se. Yeah.
I want to interrupt a second, because we are running out of our time a little, but I want to ask this one last question very shortly. So thank you for sharing the misconceptions and the role of CISO, and what kind of personality or characteristics they should have. So for our audience who are watching, what would be the biggest takeaway point regarding this topic?
Yeah. So the key takeaway for this my discussion here is that when any information security professional who is pursuing to go for a CISO after a few years, or they should consider one thing, that when it's not about only about the technical knowledge. I mean, they more need to focus on the entrepreneurial and the leadership qualities in any person. And of course, the CISO should hold a very, a strong nerve person, because when it's a very, very challenging role. And that this role varies industry to industry, because how the information security importance like varies industry to industry. That's why um, the person that depends in which organization you are applying or pursuing this role. Well, if it belongs to the banking industry, that's a different scenario. And if it's belongs to the trading industry, that's a different scenario. So all of these things matter if anyone would like to pursue for a CISO role.
Thank you so much for sharing that as well. From what I understand, it's a lot about also having leadership skills and certain other skills at hand alongside technical, if they have that or not. But yeah, so thank you so much for joining us today. I'm sorry we have run out of time. Unfortunately, I wish we could hear a bit more. But yeah, thank you so much again for joining on another session with us.
Most welcome. Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.